Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Psychic Wives. I'm Kathy Rumsey,
And I'm Jerry Carabin.
And I'm Ginger Hendry.
and we have a wonderful guest on today, Maria Forland, who is a spirit art medium, is joining us to talk about her niche of the spiritual world. Hi, Maria. How are you?
Hi, it's so great to be here. A little excited, a little, like I said, I'm trying to learn about all this new technology, and Zoom is amazing. So it brings us all together, and I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. So Maria and I met, I want to say it was about 5 years ago at a spirit art class. And I remember vividly sitting with you, Maria. You and I were partnered up for an exercise. And I remember when I signed up for the class, it said no psychic or mediumship experience required. It didn't say anything about the art experience, but I wasn't worried about the art experience except when I got in there. And you were so kind to me because I so vividly connected with someone that you knew that was on the other side, but I just could not draw to save my life. And I'm in awe of your artwork. And what is so cool about spirit art is you're drawing people who have crossed over. So we can step back for a little bit, and I'm just so curious to know how you got into doing spirit art.
Can I interrupt for just a second? Maria, were you an artist prior to this?
Yes.
Okay. So you were an artist. So yeah. Okay. So now, just like Kathy said, how did you get to this?
Well, I thought that maybe you would ask me that question, and I've been trying to think really hard to make it short and sweet. It's kind of been like a lifetime of, being bonked on the head, so to speak, like we all have, when we're unfolding our mediumship and our psychic abilities. But it really began when I thought, after studying a little bit of mediumship and trying to get braver, it kind of happened by accident when I was given a pack of crayons with this one small class. And the guy said, now we're just going to draw some hair. Just draw some hair. See, and my hand goes already because that's the one that doesn't stop. But so I drew this gray drawing in crayon with what my ability was, as an artist, as a portrait artist. And, everyone else had these kind of scrambly faces and everything. And the guy said, I think you could be a spirit artist. And I thought, well, I'm going to try to figure this out, because it hadn't happened then again for a long time, because I couldn't put the two of them together.
So were you aware that first when he was doing that? Were you just like, I'm just drawing hair, or did you know that you were connected to somebody?
I did not know I was connected. I just drew a face. I thought, well, I'm just going to draw a face. And and the guy was like, well, that's my uncle. And I thought, and the energy came through. I was shook up, to be honest with you. I cried. I was like, what the hell? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this or not, because I still wasn't used to having that energy push through me like that, And
were you a practicing medium at that time?
I was not a professional medium at that time. I was just unfolding, trying to figure out, how am I getting this?
Yeah.
It's one of those classes where he was trying to help us open up to all kinds of possibilities. There were people at the end that the third day that went into, trance and channeled. And, I was like, oh, I'm out of here. I went for a walk during this, because I still wasn't sure about any of this business, but that was my kind of landmark piece that I can remember really changing my attitude about my opinions.
And did you know? Oh, sorry.
We always talk over
I know
each
we
other.
talk over.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
you go first.
Always. How long ago, like roughly, how long ago was that?
This has got to be at least 18 years now.
Okay, great. Wow.
So
had you ever heard of spirit?
No.
Okay,
No.
so you didn't
No.
even know it was a thing.
No, I did not know it was a thing.
Yeah.
I took various art classes from different places. I have no degree. I have no accolades after my name. I just kind of stumbled around in the way I traveled in my kind of interesting journey through life and various places that I've landed have given me the opportunity to study with some really fine artists. And always in the class, I would, you're supposed to draw like, let's paint like Sargent today. And I'd be, I listened to one of your podcasts recently about the woman that came through with the auras. She talked about auras.
Mhm.
And so I would just kind of throw a little splash of color around my model's face in the drawing. And the instructor would come by and go, that's not it, Maria, but it's okay. And so that, I've been I've been given opportunities where I've been supported in my journey.
Mhm.
So I was the odd woman out, so to speak. So there was something always a little off.
But you know what? The thing that I love about you saying that is, I think all of us and people that are, like us, air quotes, do you know what I mean? Intuitive people, spiritual people, psychics, whatever. It's wonderful that to have someone in your life that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay that you're a little bit, or that's okay. The other thing that I think is really great is you just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, you're not saying, oh, nobody else is drawing an aura around, so I'm not gonna. Do you know what I mean? Like, you were led to do something, you did it, and you stayed with it, which is very powerful, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like, to just.
It's scary too, honey. It's scary.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole thing about being an artist first trains you to be vulnerable. And,
Right. The
so
creativity,
much
yeah.
and so much in our mediumship, I feel people get locked up. They're like, oh no, I can't. They get to a certain point where they don't want to make a fool of themselves.
Right.
And I think artists have been trained all along to make fools of themselves.
That's a good point.
The old typical, oh, you're an artist, you must, live in a garret and starve. And I was none of those things.
Right.
I like
turpentine.
in
Yeah.
bed,
Yeah.
So you took that first class and kind of drew someone and he said that's my uncle or whatever. And so that was, you had inklings that you had some mediumistic abilities also?
Yeah, I did.
Had you taken any classes at that
Not
point?
really, not at that
No.
point.
Okay.
And so he was just kind of I went with a friend of mine. I said, this is our birthday gift. I thought we were going away on some sort of retreat where we were going to walk in the woods and, and so we really didn't know. We didn't really know what we were signing up for. So that kind of was the opening of the door, so to speak. But honestly, there was one other incident years and years ago, and I was out in Los Angeles at the time. And this has to be, I'd say this has to be at least 25 years ago. And I was in the corporate world at the time. So this woman came in to the office and slipped me this bootleg tape by this woman named Esther. And yeah, really, she was up in Sacramento or something. She's like, you got to listen to this lady. Like, she manifested a red umbrella. That was the big thing. And, we had a cassette. So you put it in your car and you listen to the cassette. And it was hard to hear her, but she was talking about our visions and our ability to bring forward things that we desire. And I had never heard anybody talk like that before, because I mean, some of the questions that I had thought you perhaps had asked, you sent me one that said, can I talk to you about your background in religion?
Mm-hmm.
And mine was, I was an Italian Catholic born and bred. So we had saints and we had Jesus that followed us around. And, but I was enamored with the thought that no one had ever spoken like that before on this little funky cassette that I wore out and listened to, and didn't know who Esther was for many, many years, because there was nothing on that tape that told me where to go. So again, you just keep following the breadcrumbs and opportunities present themselves, I guess is a
Yeah.
good way to put it.
Yeah.
So when did you was there a point where you said, okay, I'm going to try to connect these two? Like, okay, I got this art thing. I drew this dude's uncle. Let me start poking at this a little bit and bringing them together. Did you consciously say, okay, let me start poking at this and bring them together? Or was it still following the breadcrumbs and all of a sudden, holy crap?
Yeah, it was still following the breadcrumbs because I'm a scaredy cat. And so it was a long time in pushing, but I had already begun to write and channel things. And for lack of a better term, I use that term carefully because it's used so loosely. To define it, it was just inspirational writing, so to speak. And it felt real to me when I was able to draw pictures while I was doing readings. So I was always doodling and moving my feet.
Okay.
And
So
then
it feels like it happened like really organically, like
it did.
doodling while I'm,
I don't think you can wake up one morning and go, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
Right.
You gotta really be, like when I begin to draw or I begin to paint a new painting, I get all jazzed up, get all like excited, I can feel what's coming. I don't know what's coming. And so I was in a training mediumship class, and we called it technical terrified Thursdays because the medium was very strict, do this and this. And, we were always supposed to be standing up and, shaking and getting our contacts. But it was through that she had said, now, what are you doing on this notebook? Why don't you bring in a decent piece of paper and respect the spirits that are coming through? And I thought, respect the spirits that are coming through. I never thought of it that way. Respecting spirit, because it was always just about my journey. So that kind of flipped me, and I brought a better piece of paper, and then I'd kind of doodle, but it was always still about the pictures. And then in her office, I found a magazine called Psychic News, and I thought, my head exploded. It really did.
Wow.
It was like, there's spirit art classes, there's stuff to do with this. There's really bona fide people that are actually teaching this and telling me how to journey through this. This is going to be fabulous. So that's when I went to the Arthur Findlay College in England.
Wow.
And picked a fellow named Alan Suttle.
So wait, I just got to say something. So she just said before she's a scary cat. Is there anything about this woman that is a scary cat? Like,
And then you go to Arthur Findlay.
I know, right? I'm just saying.
No, wait, it was even better. I get it. It's better because it was during Ebola. If you can.
Oh my goodness.
If I'm gonna die, I might as well go.
I would bury that scaredy cat label for yourself, girl.
I'd never flown by myself. I never thought, oh God, it was quite an adventure. But what a beautiful school that is. I just recommend that to everyone that could possibly get anywhere near it or anywhere with the tutors that are there.
So is that kind of like a huge taking off point for you?
Yeah, that was my rocket ship because, I went into I didn't know you could get a private room there, and in retrospect, the next time I went, I tried to, get a private room so I could hold on to myself because I feel like it's like Hogwarts over there.
Right.
And I'm in a dorm style room, and I've got these two lovely young women here that, know what they're doing. They've been there before. They know their ropes. They know where the bathroom is. And so I'm trying to be cool. And the first night I was there, I had a horrible nightmare. I mean, I woke them up. I was screaming and calling out and flailing around. I wound up on the floor. Really great, right? Good. Good on you. And the dream was of people's faces coming out of the plaster in the walls, all these people coming out of the walls. And at the end of the dream, again, with this repetitious blue light that has been following me around for many, many years that I'd like to get to, was the blue light just talking to me saying, just ask Alan and he'll help you. And that was the name of the professor. So when I walked in and I knew his name was Alan, but you just don't walk up to a stranger and go, hey, I had a nightmare that there were ugly faces, and they were scary faces. They were scary coming out of the walls. And I told him about it. And he, all the way through, he just kept, it's okay, Maria. It's okay, Maria. They have the ability to not give you the rules, but to coax you to be your best and settled self, so to speak.
I love what you said about when you first went, you're like, you're feeling like the newbie, the rookie, the what the hell am I doing here? And I think it's interesting because my guess is the three of us have all been in that situation at, when I was studying shamanism and you first go and you're like, oh my God, these young kids and what the hell am I doing? And I got to get out of here.
I know.
Kind of feeling. But
it's what I call a pimple sweater.
Yeah, God, it just feels like it happened like exactly the way it was supposed to happen for you, and you were put in the middle of the in front of the right people, and even the nightmare, even though it was like these scary faces coming out, it was faces coming out to you.
Yeah,
like spirit art. Do you know? I know it was obviously terrifying, but it feels like it had to happen.
Yeah, but those girls were so good to me. They thought, this old lady's cracking up. One of them was in the shaman group, and the other one, I think she was in the healing group. So they weren't really, mediums. They were there for other things, not to say that in shamanism, she didn't wind up being a medium at the end of the course, but she was there for something else too.
Yeah. I think this comes up in all the podcasts that we do, is the willingness to be open to things and allowing them to happen. And it feels like, Maria, that's what kind of your whole life has been, is you have been open and allowing things to manifest, allowing things and opportunities, and then stepping on the path to do them. And I think so many people get so anxious about doing that they don't. They don't do what it is that is driving them. This is awesome.
Oh, believe me, I've stepped in it more than I've stepped on it.
All right, go ahead.
So let's touch on the blue light a
That's
little
where I was
more,
going. Yeah.
please. Yeah.
Well, it was in one of those technically Thursday terrifying classes that I was in, and everybody's sitting around, and she said, tonight we're going to meet our guides. And so good. So she went into this deep, lovely meditation, and we went around the room and we shared our story, and everybody's got, well, I had this man and he had glasses and he was a doctor and he lived in 1847, and all these people had all these very specific things, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do this again. And she said, poked at me, speak up, shut up, stand up. And it was like, well, I'm in the blue light here. I went off to this beautiful healing room with all this beautiful, these stones, these white stones and these glowing, eminent, gorgeous things. And I was surrounded by this blue light, and they laid their hand, I don't know what hands, I can't say hands. They laid this image of this blue light around me. And I felt like they were going to be with me forever. And I felt so much love. I'm choking up thinking about it, talking about it, because it was so powerful. And I was crying while I was telling her. And she said, oh, don't worry about that, honey. You're just in the Blu-ray healing. And I'm like, okay. So that's you don't look up Blu-ray healing and find anything, there's nothing like that. And I still don't understand quite what it is, but I'm open to it because I know that color is vibration.
Right.
See, that speaks to Ginger's point about you're allowing, where some people might have to be, I need to know exactly what this is for me to encompass it or whatever, where you're kind of like, okay, here's this blue light, feels good, gonna let it hang out, not gonna push it away, not gonna try. We talk about that a lot when we, teach students, whether it's animal communication or whatever, because that's a big thing. I'm trying. And we always say, well, stop doing that.
Stop trying.
Stop trying. So that really speaks a lot to you, again, not being a scaredy cat, that you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna, this is what it is, and it's with me, and it feels good, and I'm gonna allow it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
just
think the other
hadn't
thing
thought
too
that.
is kind of an age thing, right? I mean, we've talked about this before too. We're not used to not knowing what we're doing at this
Oh,
age. It's when you're in your 20s, you kind of don't know a lot of what you're
But you
doing.
think you know
That's
everything.
oh, yeah, you
you
think
think
you
you
know.
know.
Yeah,
But then you get here, it's really uncomfortable not to be good at something. That's the feeling. And so it really is being brave, I think, to open up and saying, okay, show me the way. I'm going to go this direction, you know?
this is a little bit of a like an offshoot, but don't you feel that as we get older, there's more of the like, yeah, whatever, I'm going with the flow.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've kind of hit that point where it's just like, okay, I have no idea what's going on, but it's fun. Okay.
Trust.
You know, maybe it's a trust, maybe it's a more of a trust and a faith that the universe is in divine order, and I am where I'm supposed to be, and I have to follow what lights up for me and whatever. I don't know, a little
But
bit
I think that's because you've been doing the work, right? I
But
mean, you
yeah,
didn't
for
feel that
sure.
way when you first started.
Yeah.
I do feel that the roadblock that I feel when I'm working with students that are trying to be ignited with this whole process is that they come in expecting that what they know is what they will apply. And that doesn't sound right, right? But
No, I know exactly what
what
you're
I'm saying. And so
Yeah.
then trying to shift them out of that to be in some sort of joyful place, like, let's just make a mark. That's my big thing, is just make a mark. And like when we're beginning to mediumship, it's like, just say something.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and wait for, inspiration. You got to
Well, I think that speaks to what we were saying before about the trying and allowing. I need to, how you just said it, I need to use what I know is trying.
right,
Just make a mark
right.
is the
Let
allowing
it happen.
piece.
Let it
I
happen.
love that. So
Yeah.
how did you, so now you do this for people. People hire you as a medium and you draw a picture.
I do. I have great joy in, I consider myself for the last many years to be a church medium. I started out with a group. We were doing little events, holding at my office, and that was exciting. And unfortunately, we called the Three Musketeers. One passed right before an event, which I called her and thought, I didn't know she was dead at the time, and yelled at her. Where the hell are you? And she's, talk about
Get your ass over here.
Yeah, right. And then her husband had to call, but the other fellow had to shift gears. And we used to call ourselves the dehydrated mediums because we would sweat so much from nerves doing this. I kid you not, that it would be like, guy had to bring 3 shirts because he'd go in and change, and he's the one that actually would chant, he spoke Russian to somebody and he's like, all right, I'm out. I can't.
I don't know Russian, but
Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
Wow.
right. It was too much for him. But and he said the nerves just got him, so he quit. Now, for me, we were taught in the church, in a spiritualist church locally. So it was part of the process to get up there and do what you're supposed to do. And it was just part of our unfolding, so to speak, that we were in a church environment where we would attune ourselves to that spiritual presence. And I thought, this can't be for me because I am not a holy person. I mean, I swear, and I have a temper tantrum, and
Right.
I don't live in that pocket of what I think of, church people serving God or whatever their highest power is to be us. But it became a kind of a hold your ground and learn to understand who you are. And if you're meant to do this, it will come. So I never updated anything. I never did anything to call myself anything. I just kind of started. Someone would call and say, hey, do you want to do a little service with us? And I thought, okay. And so I'd get all my friends to pray for me and pull it off. you know, it became something that I really enjoy doing. I love to speak about faith and truth and love, and it overwhelms me to see people come into their own awareness of how fabulous they are, you
Oh,
know?
wow.
And so that kind of is my juice. So when I started teaching, that was part of it as well. You know, it was just, I don't know what I have to say, but what I want to do is bring something out in you that you're willing to experience. That part of artistry again is what it is. Artistry of living.
And
We all
I don't think you were,
creative.
I don't think you were teaching when we met at the
Um,
workshop. Um,
I think I was holding groups of just a little bit of unfolding, but I was just dabbling in the, you know, I don't know why you're talking to me because I don't know anything kind of thing.
Right.
But that's what I remember about you, was how beautifully you held space for me and encouraged me, even though I was like, even my dead people are stick figures.
You know, I love stick figures. I love them. I think they have so much to tell us.
Yeah, that is brilliant. Oh my God, that's brilliant. It's so funny because we talk all the time about being of service when we're doing animal readings or mediumship readings or whatever, being of service to, you know, the animal, the loved one in spirit, and the client. And that's what it sounds like you do when you're giving these talks in church, and when you're with, you know, talking to students, you know, just trying to be of service. And there are two different types of teachers. There are teachers that like, this is how you do it, and I know what I'm doing, and so you write this down, A, B, C, D, E. And then there are another type that says, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to tell you what I know.
Or this works for me.
And this works for me, and this lights my path, and this brings me joy and love. I'm going to share that with you, and you take what you want. And I think we've all experienced both kinds of teachers, and taken some from each. But I know for myself, and probably you guys as well, the holding space part, that I'm sharing my experience, I'm trying to be of service to you, I'm trying to guide you with love and compassion and blah, 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 is really powerful.
Yeah.
And I love that. And of course, you know, the second I started talking to you, I'm like, oh my God, she's one of them, like a good egg. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so yeah, it's beautiful to hear. It really is beautiful to hear. So when you're teaching students, are you doing the spiritual art? Do you know what I mean? Are you teaching them art? Are you teaching both? Are you?
Yeah, yeah, it's part of the process. It's like that step by step to draw a face, but I tell them it's not about the face. See, spirit art, you know, technically, again, we'll get into that place of this camp believes that you must do it this way. This camp believes you must do it this way. Spirit art is tough. It's like you're playing charades up there. You don't know what's coming out. You know, you know something. I'm stumbling here because there's so many things that rush in all at once when I talk about this. But in the spirit art program, like I have this day class, okay, where I started thinking, well, you got to draw a face. So let's start with draw an oval. This is maybe this is about where you're going to go with the eyes. This is about, you know, little shapes, a cone, a rectangle, and fill in the dots. And a couple of times, and I've seen it only a few times, where a woman has come in with absolutely no experience. And then after we've gone through the structure of a face, then we talk a little bit about colors, and like Joe does with his iconography and the story unfolding. This woman just went, you know, and I try to teach them to move both hands, which is my thing. I go with both hands, go with gusto, get your brain out of the way, and something happens. Well, here she is, no art experience whatsoever. There's this face like you've been studying portraiture for 10 years. And she went whoa. And to this day, she'll say, what am I supposed to do with this? She draws all the time. She draws these beautiful, beautiful faces. So in this, I'm learning every day with these beautiful people, because I said, I don't think it's about who you need to plant it with. I think it's your ability to bring through this incredible spirit. Now write about it. So her thing is not, I'm going to give you a spirit drawing of your mother, and I'm going to give you evidence. I'm going to draw this picture, and I'm going to channel information for you or for the group. And when I see her do this and she starts to talk about things, people are crying.
Wow.
It's touching all of us that she's got this ability to, I mean, maybe they're guides.
Right.
So this just happened. About guides can be many things. I get so excited about this because I didn't know. I was always reluctant, guides. When you go to Arthur Finley, sometimes they don't talk about guides. That used to be a no, and we've lost two greats in the last year. But
Yeah.
Mavis Patella being one of them, and
Right.
you didn't talk about guides in her class. So we kind of didn't go there very much. And the more I experience this now, again with the openness, so I draw a face almost every morning to keep my hands moving. It's a joy for me. It keeps me relaxed. And I bring it into work, which I'm a facialist and a healer. So sometimes I take the photograph when they say, hey, take a picture of me. It could be her, and so I bring it in. And the woman said to me, that's my guide. And I thought, and I never did that one before. That was just recently. So what I know is everything I don't know. Honest to God, I'll tell you, I just don't
I love
know.
that. I love that.
I
That
really
right
don't.
there. What I know
I
is
believe it.
I love
I
that.
believe it. When she said that, that's my guide, I'm like, really? I don't know. Couldn't it be your Uncle Johnny or something? She's like, no,
Yes.
that's my guide. I've been with that guy for a long time. And she's like that, but I can understand why he wore a fishing cap or an Irish cap, because he didn't have a lot of hair on the top of his head. I can't draw hats. I just draw the straight on, it is what it is.
So when you're drawing, are you seeing it? Are you seeing the picture in your head, and I know I'm getting like kind of, some of us hear things, some of us see things, some of it, like our senses, certain ones are, so are you seeing them, or are you like, draw a hat or gray hair? Do you know what I'm saying? Are you seeing the image, or are you hearing or knowing, oh, gray hair?
Yeah, I don't.
That makes sense the
don't-
way I'm asking that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah. Well, it's an experiment. And initially,
Yeah.
I did not know I would draw with my eyes closed. So 2 hands moving with your eyes closed, and then you kind of see something and you say, and then the feeling comes in. Now, that obviously doesn't work at a church service, because you can't do that. Otherwise, you're not sitting down. You have to land it, slam it in the pocket. You have 3 minutes, 4 minutes to draw, give some evidence, 7 minutes to close. That's a typical, that's how they work. But so it gets mixed up. I think there is no one way that is ever come through. And when I'm teaching, I say, all right, we're going to make a whole bunch of colors. You're going to find the face, or we're going to define it with lights and darks, or we're going to do it with the non-dominant hand or the dominant hand. Now I want you to do it with your eyes closed. Now I want you to do it while you're spinning around in circle. No. Drawing with your foot now, that has been something else that I've encouraged people to do, because then they get out of their own head, you see.
Exactly.
They don't know what's going on. They close their eyes and they're drawing with their foot, and they're, and then they go, oh my God, that looks like Mr. Potato Head, and, but then their evidence comes through. So sometimes it's just touching on the paper and getting out of your head, even if you feel you have no artistic ability whatsoever, you're using another sense. So sometimes I see them.
Okay.
And I don't, do we really see them? I don't know.
I know. Yeah. That's why it's a
Maria,
tricky question.
Oh, I had a question. Is it always a person that comes through? Let's say if a face, and not that the person doesn't come through, but I mean what you're drawing. Have you ever had a situation where a person comes through and you're drawing a scene, or you're drawing a house, or you're
Yeah,
drawing?
that's a lovely thing. I try not to do that um, initially, but what I will do, and I've experienced stages of this, you see, stages where right after Joe's class, I was all, woohoo, we got to draw pictures around the face. It doesn't have to do with the face. It's got to do with the car. So I'm like trying to figure out how to draw cars and carrots and birds and different kinds of birds and maybe a stamp from Japan or something, so that's part of it. It's that pictography or iconography that we go through it in the history, but he really caught me off guard with that when we started to draw pictures around the drawings.
Yes.
It could be a stick figure, but if you get this little pathway, or a yellow school bus or a book or, like a teacup or something, it's like, wow,
So, Kathy, I want to bring you in here a little bit because you were like, even my dead people are stick figures, you know what I mean? Like, so did you get anything from it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, can you describe your experience a little bit?
So it was actually, I went to this workshop for the art part of it, thinking I really want to open myself up creatively. And I knew I had psychic ability. I didn't know at the time I had mediumistic ability.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I took the class and I but I was able to give evidence to you and to a couple other people. And then that lit me up from oh my gosh, I can do this medium thing. And I want to explore that more. So I let the art part go.
Got it.
Um,
So it's kind of a perfect example of you
following the breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Following
Yeah.
the path organically, interesting. Because I was.
But what I remember about when you and I, Maria, were matched together as partners was I could, in my mind's eye, see the person and the clothes and the apron and couldn't see the face though. It was like a head without a face. And I remember saying to Joe, and he was like, but you're just, and I could describe everything. I just couldn't get it from describing with words to describing on the paper.
yeah.
And that was me getting stuck in my own fear of, I'm not an artist.
Yeah. I don't know that, so I can't do that.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was, it really opened up for me though, the mediumship aspect.
Do you see the animals now when you're communicating with them? Do you see them in your mind's eye?
It depends. Sometimes I see a whole animal. Sometimes I see parts. Sometimes I just see energy. It depends on the animal and the person that I'm connected to.
And you know what I think is cool? We all get, Ginger, we've all talked about this a bunch of times. Ginger and I, you and I talked about this sort of recently. It feels to me like we all get information in the best way, in a way that we can best
Deliver.
So like we used to have a teacher and she used to always talk about me hearing. And I'm like, I do not hear. I don't hear things, but I'm a writer. So I see words. I will literally see the word, and it may be capitalized. It may be bold. It may have an exclamation point. It may be blinking. It may be, do you see what I'm saying? So I see words and I don't hear them. And so we talk about that a little bit, like you get it in the way that you can best deliver it, and to me, best be of service. And so you're this artist, so you're getting these amazing, you're getting it amazingly in form where you can, does that
Yeah,
And but you still say that even if you're not an artist.
absolutely. Sometimes that happens. And
Yeah.
because I've seen it several times in the last several years through these little, what I call, play shops. They
Yeah.
come, here, kitty, nothing serious about it. Let's just have some fun. And all of a sudden, whoa, and now we're in mediumship, and they go, whoa. And that opens up a door to their willingness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I still don't know if sometimes I just get an image of a gray hair, or I'll feel like I'm with my aunt,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I'll go, yeah, okay, that feels like I'm just, I'm with my Auntie Tina, and I'll describe her, or I'll try to, I'm drawing something about her hair. Maybe the nose isn't right. Maybe the mouth isn't right. Very, very rarely have I ever drawn an exact likeness of a photograph, but I have, and it surprises me. And then I go, holy crap, well, that's just good. You love to be that, but I don't put that pressure on myself anymore, because I think that, really, I just wrote to one of my lovely tutors, and I said, sometimes we study and we train and train and train, and we become literally train wrecks, because we're trying so hard to be spiritual and stuff like that we just make ourselves sick.
Right, it's that trying word again.
Yeah, it's a
I know
killer.
it's so interesting too. I just took a class with Joe and John Holland, and it was on signs and symbols.
Oh,
And I asked Joe this because
Can I interrupt for a second? We said Joe a bunch of times. When we say Joe, we're talking about Joe Scheel, who is a brilliant
artist.
medium and
spirit
artist as well. So anyway, go ahead, Ginger.
So in the class, I asked him, like, I don't see color. I mean, I see color if I'm seeing a scene or seeing an animal or whatever, but it's not color that pops up. It's whatever the content is for me. And so I said to him, do you think that, you're kind of on this path and whatnot, because you're an artist. I'm like the opposite, I feel like, of an artist. And he said to me, if you're not bringing in color and symbols, which I do have symbols, but then you're doing a disservice to yourself and to your client. That was the conversation Jerry and I had after I finished the class. Like, I don't have that gift, ability, or whatever, and so I'm trying to figure out how to bring it in more. Am I really doing a disservice, or is the animal or the person giving me info in the best way I get, which is more kind of black and white?
Right.
It's really true. I think you've hit it right on the head. You've got to trust your own voice. And here you are with this beautiful sweater of blue and beautiful patterns, and you selected that because you love that. You didn't just throw it on. If there's something about it that made you feel good when you put it on. So you selectively bring color. And in everything that you choose, the vegetables that you eat, the car you drive, the room you've painted, the way you feel comfortable.
That's so, now I feel better about what Joe said, because I understand it better, Maria. I mean, I don't think of color, but if I think of color, then I understand it and it comes in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
And yes,
that
certain
makes
colors make us feel certain ways.
Do you remember when we were all, I don't know if you had it around your neighborhood, where it was, oh God, what's the name of it? It's Color Me Beautiful or something. Some lady at the spa said, I can choose your colors. And then she comes, you pay her $35 and she puts stuff on you, and
you're a summer.
You're a summer. Oh yeah, that's right. You're an autumn or
remember.
whatever. And yeah, things have changed. So I don't know what I am. I'm all seasons now, I guess. But we feel better in certain things. I put a couple of different shirts on this morning. One, and I selected, it was like, well, no, long sleeves, hot sleeve. I don't know. It's crazy weather out there.
Crazy weather up here. Yeah, we're out in the Northeast, and it's a little hard to choose.
It's like 70 out there or something right now. But you selected it without even realizing that the color and the vibration of it, you're speaking today. I don't know what that means to you but to me that blue is about, the truth. Some people would see it in a different way. There are books written very specifically about what color means to certain people, and that's all whatever. But to you, what it means. And so color is a very big part of your life, all of our lives. When you have an eye, I had a cataract surgery. I didn't know that I was getting to the point where I couldn't drive at night. And he said, well, you're ripe. That's a term that they use when, these cataracts are ready to be removed. The first eye didn't go well, and I couldn't see very well out of that eye. It was very traumatic for me, thinking I got one good eye and that's all I got. And when it was ready, they schedule you, now you've got to go for the second eye. I said, I can't even see out of the first eye. He's like, trust me.
Yeah.
That's a choice. Okay. Otherwise you're going around for a whole nother year. So I said, all right, fine. If I can, I'll start books on tape, whatever. And when I saw the 5 or 6, like those blue shades in the snow, I looked outside and it was like I could start to see the blue shades of snow. And I thought, holy cow, what I've been missing.
Yeah.
As an artist, I had so many paintings that I had started and become so frustrated because it was like, I said to my eye doctor, listen, I need to get that fuchsia to be blue fuchsia, not warm fuchsia, cool fuchsia. And he's like, got it. But the paintings were crap, honestly. And then when I got the cataract surgery, I went through the work that I had put down, becoming frustrated with, and saw it in a whole new way.
Wow.
So I think that our eyes and our ability to interpret this world through what we see to be, because many people are colorblind. Can you imagine?
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
I know, but they have such full and beautiful lives.
Yeah.
So I don't
Can
know
I
how
just say, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, I know most people will listen to this, but we do have this up, or it will be up on our YouTube channel. That painting behind you is just spectacular. It's
It really
beautiful.
is.
Thank you. I paint a lot of guides. And I have my favorite flower is a sunflower. This painting was a struggle. It really truly was. But I put it here to hide my big pile of papers on my desk. But
Like a true artist.
yeah,
Yes.
I am going to be printing, and I gave my dining room up because when Zoom hit, I had to adjust, and like I'm not a technically aware person, but I am going to start printing some of my work, and that's a thrill.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ginger, because I was about to say the same thing. I'm assuming that you did that painting, and it's insane. It's so
It's beautiful
with the colors and everything included in it. It's like kind of hard to keep your eyes off of it.
My symbols, like we talk about my symbols, they come through repeatedly. My guides, colors.
Yeah.
And there's usually a church thrown in there somewhere, and then there's usually a fish that swims by, sooner or later.
Fish there, and the church, and the flowers, and it's amazing. It really is.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, it has been so great speaking with you today about your spirit art and what you do, and just to connect with you again. You've got just such great energy. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Like we said, we always put our little disclaimer that we totally stole these from Inside the Actors Studio, which
good. Okay.
TV show. Yes. So I'll just ask you a couple of them. What is your most favorite word?
And it can be a swear word. I click the explicit on this. So
what is my favorite word? Yeah, you
it's
said
hard.
that to me, and I'm supposed to be prepared for this. Don't
try, allow.
Okay, I I love you. I mean, that's not one word, but someone had said, oh, don't listen to her. She tells everybody she loves them. And I thought, well, I do.
But I do,
I
right?
do.
So
Yeah.
don't be telling me I don't.
That's
That's
perfect.
awesome.
That's
Or-
perfect.
Try is a good word.
Yes. Oh, that is a good word, right?
Try.
And then the other question, if heaven is real, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Jesus Christ, I thought you'd never get here.
Oh, that's a great way to end it, Maria.
You made it after all.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on and being part of
Thank
our
you.
show. And
Wow.
your information is all on our website. So everyone, if you're interested in learning more about Maria and what she does or her classes, if you're in the Northeast, you're on the Cape?
I'm on the Cape, but I'm
You're on
doing
Cape
Zoom,
Cod.
and I've got all kinds of directions going on with
Oh,
Zoom now. So that's
Great,
open.
right. That is
Yeah.
that is the beauty of Zoom, is that it opens you up to location not mattering.
Countries.
Right.
Right. So www.thepsychicwives.com. We're on Facebook at The Psychic Wives, and you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next time.
Be well.
And be kind.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, thank you so much.